Good evening and good streaming. I am Jello Biafra and this is Renegade Roundtable. We are here with a firebrand disability rights activist who is also the architect, the main one, of one of the most bizarre and unclassifiable hip-hop outfits I have ever heard in my life, called Wheelchair Sportscamp. So without further ado, Denver, Colorado's own maybe not public enemy number one of all that is idiotic in city government and beyond, but one of them certainly. Meet Kalyn Heffernan.
Pew, 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 pew. Hey.
So welcome to Renegade Roundtable. It's an honor to have you on, and an honor that we are putting out just about the first vinyl in the history of Wheelchair Sportscamp. Yes, it's product placement time. 7-inch called I'm a Mess, and with its heart out there being its hard time out there being a gimp on the B side. We will get to that, but to begin at the beginning here, what created you?
What created me? Hey, Jello, thanks for having me. Two wacko parents that were probably real intoxicated and partying and having a good time created me in 1987. Represent. Yeah, I've been rapping since I can remember. Probably since I was 5. Definitely since I was 5. Maybe a little before then, but yeah.
So as we got to know each other, you at one point said you knew as little about punk as I did about hip hop, and obviously you were, way hip hop. Maybe not quite all hip hop all the time, but very early on, that is your thing.
Yeah, I got pretty into rap music at a really young age, and being an only child and an only disabled child that spent a lot of time alone, rap music was my thing. Rap music was my love. And it was really just mine. A lot of the people around me weren't really influencing it as much as, like, I found it on the radio. No one else cared about it as much as I did, and just got fixated.
So you talk about growing up alone a lot, and of course growing up disabled, and not just, I don't want to say a normal disability, but you have a very specific situation that you were born with.
I do. I'm on the rare disease list for osteogenesis imperfecta, which is basically brittle bones. And yeah, I was born with it. Neither of my parents have it. I'm pretty tiny and have used a power chair since I was 5, and have a manual chair that's easier to travel in. And yeah, broken a lot of bones. Had a lot of surgeries.
How many bones, dare I ask?
You can, but it's definitely out of proof. There, way over 100. I think my parents stopped counting when I was a baby, and I had like 25. I was born when they found out I had the disability. I already had like 25 fractures, and that was only 3 months.
God.
So yeah.
Woo.
A lot.
I mean, to correct one common myth, even of people who know you, you are not paralyzed.
I am not
and you
paralyzed.
can stand up and walk around a bit.
Yeah, I can move my limbs, unless they're broken and casted. Yeah, is that a myth that I'm paralyzed? Is the myth now that I am a paralyzed person? People got to come up with
it's just a common assumption of anybody. Common assumption of anybody who uses a wheelchair, especially a motorized chair, that there's, that there's not a lot down there that works. Yeah, but it sounds like everything works with you. It's just it's the brittle bones that does what it does. Do you feel them every time they break or not?
Good question. I'm aging. I'm 36 now, so the way my body is reacting to broken bones is actually quite a bit different, and it's something I've been dealing with the last year, specifically this past winter. Typically, yeah, I feel it if I have a usually I break like during impact or like falling or being reckless. Like there's some kind of trauma. I don't just like break hanging, sitting down. But now weather is affecting me. It's been like a really brutal winter here in Denver. Yeah, I got so many old breaks that they start to creep back up as new breaks. Yeah, I've been really lucky to like not have a lot of chronic pain. In between being
Good.
broken, and as a youngster I would heal really quickly. Like I broke all the time, but I healed all the time. The older I get, I break less, but they take much longer to heal. I can feel some broken femurs right now.
Oh my God. Ooh. Are they going to have to be cast, or is he just going to leave them that way and hope they grow back
They
together?
I mean, they're not freshly broken. They're old bricks. But yeah, as a kid, I grew up a
But this,
lot in spike casts, which I don't even think they put children in them anymore because they're pretty torturous. But it's like a full body cast up to my chest, almost up to my armpits. So my arms were free, my head, but my legs were like vertical and spread apart, and there was like a bar in between my legs. And this is like back in the plaster days, so they were heavy also. So I was just like a
oh
starfish
my.
hanging out in a wagon every 6 months.
Well, I'm glad you were able to get a motorized chair that young. I don't get the impression that your parents had a lot of money,
Yeah,
that there was aid.
they've always been like pretty working class people. Like they've always been separated, but big supporters of me. And my dad's a union iron worker, so actually had decent insurance through that. And my mom skated the poverty line, so when there were big medical bills like a new surgery or a new wheelchair, we could usually qualify for like some assistance on top of my dad's insurance. So, yeah, no, I've never paid for a wheelchair. They're very expensive, like so expensive.
Well, one of my favorite lines in the Gimp song is "My wheelchair costs more than your sports car."
Yeah. I've never bought a sports car, but I'm pretty sure you
Well,
could
what
get
can you do with one?
yeah, I'm sure you could get one for the amount of money I spend. And they only last like 5 years. I run my power chairs to the ground, put a lot of miles on it. And yeah, I can only qualify for a new one every 5 years.
And to get around the rest of Denver, do you have people, specialized vehicles come pick you up? You don't go really long distances in your chair, do you?
Yeah, I actually drive again. I drove since I was 16, so I have a van that's fitted. I used to
Oh,
drive in my chair, but now I drive in a regular car chair and like transfer into it, and it goes up all like a cyborg. It's a really gross market though, the vehicles for people with disabilities. It's actually really only fitted for people who are like, well, not only fitted, but it's mostly fitted for normal sized people who are paralyzed, paras, or spinal cord injury folks. So us little people can't really get vehicles like we used to. And just like the wheelchair industry, everything's conglomerated and monopolized and controlled. So yeah, it's bullshit. It's fucked up.
there's not enough money in it because we don't make very many of them. Therefore, we won't make any at all.
Yeah, and none of the motherfuckers that design the shit for us are actually disabled themselves. It's a small little circle that you have to like navigate through.
And as a little person, does science classify you as dwarf or midget or neither?
Yeah, I think the people threw away the word midget. I don't think we use that term anymore unless it's retired that word. And actually, yeah, my disability is on the dwarfism list, which is a long list of different disabilities that qualify under dwarfism, which I didn't know until a couple years ago. So
none of this has stopped you from being one hell of a tornado of activities over the years, both as an activist and as a creative artist. You even do some of your own album CD covers and things. And you also list on a bio as you are a music production teacher, which implies major recording studio skills as well.
I did go to college for recording engineering, but I mostly used all of my time and resources in school to learn how to record Wheelchair Sportscamp myself in the band, and started bringing in more live musicians and kind of taught myself through that.
Did you always go to regular public schools, or did they try to isolate or segregate you?
Yeah, good question. I did go to public schools. I did have an IEP, which classified me as special ed, but my mom is like a serious loudmouth advocate for me. And yeah, so I always had class with everybody else. And yeah, my mom did have to like fight to make sure that I wasn't segregated, because that is traditionally what they do with disabled students. I went to all regular schools. There was a school here in North Denver that was my home school in elementary, and the wheelchair entrance was through the side. And so my mom wouldn't let me go to that school because the entrance wasn't the same as the other students, and we had to like walk pretty far to another school that was more accessible. My high school was not very accessible, but it was a better high school than my home school, so that was weird. They didn't have an elevator. I went to Lakewood, and they actually got an elevator the year after I graduated.
They partly have you to thank for that, along with all the activists who forced the Americans with Disabilities Act through direct action, including a lot of Denver, which we'll get to later. And your drummer in Wheelchair Sportscamp, Greg, is it Ziemba? How do you pronounce his last name?
Jemba.
Jemba.
Kind of like blended all together.
Yeah, he remembers encountering you at a little local, I guess, punk band show at the Wheat Ridge, Colorado Teen Center when you were both middle school age.
Yeah. We've been to quite a few shows like at the same time before knowing each other. But that one in particular, yeah, I was there because my cousins maybe were friends with the band. Greg remembers the lead singer like saying some shitty joke about moshing, and like that's how like I got disabled. Basically, it was from moshing at the last show, which I don't remember that, but Greg remembers being appalled. And then I was hanging out with the band after.
Yeah. There is a wheelchair user who comes to our shows in Geneva in Switzerland. I believe he's a paralysis victim, manual chair, and he rolls right off the stage into the crowd. And they all know him. And they go ahead.
I like to get carried on the stage, but it has backfired on me. One time at a CD release, Buff Naked Boys carrying me on stage, and one of them like flipped my chair weird. I don't know, but I fell. But luckily, like, they caught me mid-air. It was quite the night. Almost was the end for me and my little brittleness. But I do I do like getting carried. I wouldn't trust like a regular crowd to carry me, but like
especially
3 or 4. Yeah, I have some girlfriends that carry me a lot. My security detail, the rare birds. So like I trust them to get me safely.
And are they all fully able-bodied, or some of them not all able-bodied?
Depends what you define as able, but They're
Yeah.
they're physically fit. They're physically fly. They're buff.
There you go. Speaking of fly, I've noticed that you run your wheelchair with your phone and not a joystick or buttons on the actual armrest or anything.
No, I use a joystick, but I do usually have my phone in my hand. It's not a phone.
Oh, but that's for everything else.
Yeah, no, it's
What
a
is it?
joystick. I'll show you.
Okay. All right. Well, then oh, here we
See
go.
that? It's also a paint.
Yeah.
My joystick has become a paint palette and a holder of masks. It also has a hair tie around the spongy thing. That's my
All
joystick.
right.
It's got
Yeah.
buttons. It's got lights.
Does it have a name or a gender?
No, they don't last long enough to get either of those.
No sentimental attachment. Okay. I mean, we first met when a good mutual friend of both of ours, Mark Bleasner, who, among other things, dates clear back to the OG Colorado punk scene before I moved west and eventually started Dead Kennedys. And I was after hours at the Wax Trax vinyl store checking out weird records and stuff. And Dave Wilkins was there putting up with me before it was time for him to go home. In you came and quickly let me know kind of what you were about. You gave me a Wheelchair Sportscamp CD and then mentioned what you did to Senator Corey Gardner's office. And that was what really broke even more the ice. Oh my God, this is somebody to know. Who is this person? This is wild.
Yeah, I guess I had just done that action.
Yeah. I think it might have been a while after because it sounds like it was in June or something that I was probably visiting over the holidays in the winter, maybe. I don't know. But
Okay.
anyway, tell us about what you and the other people from ADAPT, and we'll need to know what ADAPT is, what you did to that rising Tea Party darling, Senator Corey Gardner's office.
All the Republicans were trying to take away Medicaid, and there was a big action in D.C. Bunch of members of ADAPT. Protest groups started here, actually in Denver. Were blocking the floor, Senate, Congress, I don't know, one of them. Federal
Committee here.
DC stuff, and getting arrested about a couple days later, maybe that week, the week after, I saw a post from somebody about Denver about to do an action, and I had been kind of trying to get involved with ADAPT for a long time up until this point, and hadn't done any actions with them, and found the person and was like, hey, what's going on, and she was like, can you get arrested? And I was like, yeah. And I've been to hella actions, not a lot of disability up until this moment. Most of my advocacy, activism stuff was around all kinds of other stuff, not disability related. So yeah, and I've never been one of those activists that just gets arrested at every action. Even though I got some beautiful friends who that is their role in the revolution, is just getting arrested all the time and clogging up the system. Yeah, I just knew instantly that this was something I would get arrested for and would make sense. Obviously, it's quite a spectacle to see a lot of disabled people being drugged from their wheelchairs, kind of cashing in some pity points or charity models. You see disability always represented in this inspirational, oh God, if they can do it, anyone can. So it really is an effective tool around sit-ins and direct actions. It makes the press right away. It's a spectacle to watch people with disabilities get violently arrested. So they had been doing
Well,
it for 30 plus years. 50 years, shit, 1975, 1978. So yeah, I was just
It took
lucky.
that long.
We went into Corey Gardner's office, who was our Colorado guy at the time, senator from the farmland, Colorado, and he's a bitch ass Republican. He's a coke head, hangs with the Koch brothers. Yeah, he's a bitch. Not a good one.
Yeah, he was kind of, a plant and kind of designed, and yeah, I'm going to use that word they use now, groomed by
Yeah,
the Koch brothers and others who are now, they're down to one main Koch head, but the next generation of Koch, KOCH, are apparently just as evil as the other ones. Gee, what a surprise. And so
yeah,
the more arrests there are, the more likely it is to get covered.
right.
Number one is what I've learned and stuff. And number two, obviously adapt and you folks with this and others, and the people in DC who crashed the committee hearing, where they're trying to, we're going to get rid of Obamacare once and for all,
Yep.
pointing out that there's all kinds of us who are going to die if we lose our Medicare. And I think you even said, I would rather go to jail than die because I can't get Medicare. That's what this is up against.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was that flamboyant, and you got a hold of the press, which Adapt is very good at doing, to make sure it got on the news that this was going on, which was part of the battle and may have been a major part of the fact that John McCain, got up off his deathbed and flew into Washington. I believe that was the round where they tried to kill Obamacare, where his vote killed their bill in the Senate, and they thought he was going to vote the other way.
He was needing all kinds of health shit too at the time, so I'm sure that opened his heart a little bit to whatever
That he
it
ever
takes.
had one.
Yeah, exactly. We got into his office, Corey Gardner's. His office at the time was in a Chase Bank building downtown. So it's a private building. About 5 of us power wheelchairs, maybe. There were about 8 of us total, got into the office, and we didn't leave for 3 days, like 90 hours about. They first didn't let us have access to the bathroom, and then, but they were like allowing attendant care to come in and out, because a lot of the people in the sit-in relied on at-home independent care, which if they got Medicaid, that's the first thing that's gonna go, which is at-home community care, so that you're not forced to live in a nursing home if you need help showering or if you need help eating, etc., etc. So they were allowing attendants to come in and out, and the Bay Area has like paved the way for this kind of action. They did the longest sit-in ever in San Francisco. So the attendant cares were actually bringing in and out supplies and figuring out porta potty situations, and I did get to piss in his office in a trash can, and then and then they unlocked the bathrooms eventually, and it took them about 3 days to figure out how the hell they were gonna arrest all of us. And yeah, I'm a press whore too. Like I was already sending press releases, and I had some good contacts at the time, so, and I was like going live and being a little more, goofy, flamboyant, as you would call it, than some of the other like radical organizer lawyers. I was in the office with some really amazing people who just taught me so much, and yeah, like really taught me my hometown history that I sadly never learned in school. I sadly never learned doing 20 years of actions and advocacy and activism. Like, I didn't know shit about the disability movement here in Denver, and how, outside of the Bay, we were like one of the other epicenters of making things more accessible for the rest of the country.
You also emerged pretty quickly, at least in the media I saw, as one of the front and center spokespeople for the whole protest, and got national coverage on Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. And
I'm Amy Goodman. We turn now to look at the rolling resistance to the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. At the forefront of the protests against the various repeal bills before the U.S. Senate, you're joining us from Denver. You're one of the founders of Wheelchair Sportscamp, the musical group. You participated in a protest in Senator Corey Gardner's office. Can you describe what happened there? Is it true that the staffers literally turned up the heat to try to get you out?
Hey, thanks for having me. We were denied access to the bathroom on the same floor for the first day that we were there. We were there for 3 days and 2 nights, about 60 hours almost. And it seemed like the first day they turned off the air, but we did have a lot of community support that was bringing us resources, able-bodied people bringing us means to go to the restroom, and also fans to keep the ventilation going.
And what are you demanding of Senator Corey Gardner?
We showed up after seeing the first bill that was proposed, and we showed up demanding that our senator vote no on anything that was going to cut Medicaid services.
Has he met with you?
For long. He did have a phone call with us a few days after we were released from jail. Yes.
You know, ADAPT, your organization, was actually founded in Denver. Can you talk about the history of the group?
Yeah, Denver is a super great place for a lot of movements, also the heart of the Chicano movement. And ADAPT started when they broke some disabled people out of nursing homes in 1975 and demanded the state to pay for their services, their long-term services, and that's really what created Medicaid in the long run. ADAPT Atlantis was also the first people to lay their bodies in front of public transportation here on Colfax and Broadway, and that's why all buses now must provide access for disabled people, and some of the first people to break the corners of the sidewalks in order to get curb cuts for us wheelchair users. So Denver and this group that I sat in with is definitely a very historical, exciting group that I'm super honored to be a part of.
And you're also the founder of the hip-hop Wheelchair Sportscamp. We just played the music at the break. Can you talk about using music to push forward your politics?
Yeah, I'm just in a super awesome position to be able to tour internationally and use my voice to advocate for more disabled people. I think a lot of my lyrics have always kind of talked about my own personal advocacy and what life is like for me as a disabled person. And after playing more shows and touring more, it's become a lot more aware that the disabled community has been a big supporter of our music, and we were just happy to be able to do this, and I'm really excited to be able to lend my voice to the Denver community as often as I can. So
Kalyn, you're one of the Denver Nine, one of the 9 people who were arrested in Senator Corey Gardner's office. Can you talk about your experience with the police? I believe one of your group, saying to the police when they were asking her how to work her wheelchair, I don't have an obligation to tell you how to work my chair, and you know, to cooperate. I will cooperate, but I will not teach you how to arrest me.
That's right. 3 of us were charged on top of trespassing with interference for not telling cops how to use our wheelchairs. Carrie Ann Lucas was escorted away by a disabled RTD bus, which is ironically there because of the same group of ADAPT activists. So yes, 3 people were also charged with interference because they were not telling cops how to use their chair. Yeah, it was like really fitting because I already wrote the song "It's Hard Out Here for a Gimp," so I already had the soundtrack. Many of these women I was in the office with didn't know about my music until I got in there, and so yeah, I had a anthem for the same type of shit. I actually wrote a diss track, Corey Gardner diss track too, when we did get out of jail. Because we finally got like a phone call with him, and he was still just a fucking punk. And what do rappers do when they're really pissed off?
Don't put punks down for the old slang for the word. My God.
I know. Sorry. Wrong audience. But yeah, me and Greg went into the studio and stayed up till like 4 a.m. cutting the track, and so then I had that song to like rap at every protest and whatever kind of showcase we were doing around this like big fight to keep our Medicaid.
Right, and now we can actually insert that song right here.
Hey, Mr. Politician Man, I saw you on the news talking about us, acting like you give a fuck. All right.
I'm gonna be free someday. I'm gonna be free to go just where I please, when I wanna go.
They wanna lock me in a closet, wanna lock me in a box, wanna kick me out the office, profit off my death and what? Cancel all our tours, put us all away, never see us anymore, and never have to pay, and that's okay. Yeah. Well, we ain't gonna lay down without a fucking riot. We don't need to eat, we can use your diet. We don't need to stand, we're sitting. Try it, we don't need a man. Or about that pissing, we decided. It's a slumber party at the Senators. You're invited, we ain't leaving, we got shit to say. You the bitch and you can hide it. On those closed doors, write it down. Take a picture, we don't give a fuck. Cold core investing in oppression. Ain't impressed by the impression that you ever got our message. Or left with some discretion, extending your recession. We just try to live, I mean the fact that we exist is testament to who we is. How we resist and attack. And then do the back hand system of vernacular. Resist, adapt, enter through the back hand system of vernacular. I got that back, but talking back to capitalist. All I know is rap, so add to the list. Trespassing bitch, kissing nationalists. It's down to demonstrate. I ride with Renegade who'd rather go to jail than die without Medicaid. It's the Saturday. I know some witches. Watch your back so you get sickness. And always shit your britches. Or wake up one day with 2 broken legs. Can't make your way out of bed without some helping aid. So stay away from catastrophe. Sentiment's not tragedy. You need a band to play your benefit. Yo, get at me.
Please, when I wanna go.
And now we are back with Kalyn Heffernan, or sometimes goes by Kalyn Rose, I guess, among other names, middle name. And that was her track about the now ejected Senator Corey Gardner from Colorado. He got replaced by John Hickenlooper. But at the time you did this, Gardner was riding high. He was mostly out-of-state money from all the usual, right-wing wannabe Nazi suspects who got him in the first place. But he was considered a rising national star, and people thought he was cute looking, although some of us thought he was pretty damn untrustworthy looking, just from I know that's stereotyping, but my God, you know what I'm talking about. But he also then became known eventually, and I think it was around this issue, for being afraid to come back home to Colorado and face his own constituents over trying to kill Obamacare. I don't know whether that got out after your protest or because of your protest, or it was already known that Gardner was too chicken shit to set foot in his own state because people hated him so much.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is like super right, you know, and super Republican and super funded by these terrible oligarchs, you know. So there has always been people, you know, putting red flags out of the, and like plenty of people not voting for this ass fuck. I do believe that action got, you know, the most attention against Corey Gardner. There was also a lot of attention after the Medicaid sit-ins, but then around guns, because one of the many high school guns shootings happened, and there was like a big organization of youth leaders. Emma, what was her name? Gonzalez. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there was a bunch of youth coming out to put some gun policies in place, and when I went to some of those actions, like, yeah, everybody hated Gardner. Like, the popularity of hating Gardner continued to rise. And there was also another group, which I think I'm actually pretty sure, yeah, they were already going when the Medicaid sit-ins happened, but there was the Cardboard Corey team, which brought cardboard cutout of Corey Gardner all over the state because, like you said, he was pretty impossible to track down in real life unless you were at these like extremely expensive Coke conferences. One of the weekends, or maybe the weekend we were at his office, yeah, he was at a Coke conference in Colorado Springs where it was like $20,000 a seat.
As if they needed the money.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder how many of these people, once they get to DC, and then if they're voted out, they just stay there and become lobbyists for the usual suspects, and from military contractors, tech companies, big pharma, you name it. But they have to maintain their voting address somewhere in their home state. And one of the worst people connected with Trump, that last chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who, if there's any justice in the world, he's going to be in prison in this time next year. He, among other things, while they're bitching about vote fraud, turned out he had 3 different addresses, something like that where he's registered to vote. But the main one that he called his main address turned out to be in a trailer park. And the trailer was empty and nobody was living there. That wouldn't surprise me if Gardner was one of the same people like that. And of course, he was ejected the next time he came up for the election. And maybe one thing, and this was in Westward, the local weekly, and I don't know if this hit the Denver Post, the daily paper, but there's a great headline from this protest partway through Wheelchair Sports Camp. A sit-in almost turned into a shit-in at Corey Gardner's office. Again, with you making a hilarious face front and center, pointing out that they were denying letting you use the bathroom, hoping that would get everybody to get up and go use the bathroom and do what they need to do. And people didn't. So all of a sudden, what were they? Were there like catheter stuff and leg bags that said diapers in there for some people who used that? And they were piling up until Gardner's people finally threw up their hands and relented to, quit stinking up their own office through their inaction.
Yeah, once the bucket came in with the toilet seat on it, they let us into the bathroom. But I did get to piss.
But the day after that article appeared was the day you were arrested after a 58-hour sit-in, and then that was straight to another 30 hours in jail. I mean, that's a tough thing for anybody for protests of this nature and direct action.
Yeah, the worst part about it was we were most of those 30 hours we were in holding or like in the waiting area, which is worse
Ooh.
than getting your own cell. I think the computer system went down, and the
Oh,
processing.
really?
Yeah, so processing was like 30 hours backed up, trying to get us out, and there was like a crowd outside the whole time. So shit, when I got out of jail, it was like a big party. There were like hundreds of people celebrating us when we got out. It was awesome.
And that's an important point of activism and protest, is it isn't all nonstop drudgery. I mean, it can be gratifying, it's hard work, but it's not as though everything is just, oh, we hate the fascist pigs beating up on the proletariat, and you know what we're going to do about it? We're going to have meetings, god damn it. You know, I love pranks. I love direct actions. And this was not your only real good one either. So,
well, it's also just like a reminder too, especially for me, like coming into my 30s and doing that action was like, yeah, it really doesn't take a lot of people to shut shit down. You know, there was only 8 of us, 9 of us. You know, it's like, imagine if we got it. I don't know. Direct actions work. You know, sit-ins work. Civil disobedience like works. You know, especially if it's coordinated, especially if it's organized. Like, it really is possible. I mean, if we all just shut shit down, it would only take 12 days of a general strike to really like destroy everything. You know, like it is doable, and
which
it's
is
rewarding
why
shit.
corporate McNews doesn't like to even admit that general strikes even existed, let alone are actually possible, let alone that there was no small amount of that leading up to the Depression and stuff. And then it's happened a little bit since in Seattle and even in Oakland. Not huge, but it has happened. It is possible. All you got to do is just, okay, we're on strike now.
Yep.
Vancouver, too, a great big one years ago, where a punk band called DOA even had a song for it. Hey, hey, time to unite. Let's have a general strike.
God, I can't wait for the next one. It's like so past due.
And meanwhile, a year after this protest, when you were, I wouldn't quite say a media darling, but people were paying attention, knew who you were, you ran for mayor of Denver.
I rolled for mayor of Denver.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the
sat
British term is you stood for mayor, but that doesn't entirely apply either.
Nope, I sat for mayor, rolled for mayor. Doing that sit-in was like the first time people started like knowing me and having no clue about my music. It was like, so I got recognized at a local music festival as like that activist, that famous activist. So like things shifted for sure in my like public figure-ness. and it was like, you know, rap music like is a lot responsible for me being who I am and getting out to protest even in like middle school and high school, caring, you know, a little bit more than the rest of my class. But then things started to shift where just as known for that as I was for making music my whole life.
And you did one hell of a campaign advertisement or video or an announcement for the mayor campaign.
Yeah.
Including rolling up to the steps of City Hall and throwing up your hands in disgust, looking at all those stairs. I can't work here.
Denver. I love this city so much. So much, in fact, everyone's been telling me, Kalyn, you should run for mayor. And I'm like, don't be an ableist, I don't even walk. And they're like, whatever, sit for mayor. Hancock's gotta go. And they're right. So right. But how the hell am I supposed to work here? Wait, If I'm mayor, can I ban stairs? Wait, if I'm mayor, can I ban assault rifles? Yeah, I mean, who else is gonna rally our communities together to make real change like yesterday? Yeah, I mean, who else, right? Okay, day 1, end the urban camping ban. Ooh. Okay, day 2, it's time for Denver to have rent control. Look, we need affordable, accessible housing before these realtors can capitalize on our sunsets. Oh, and what about women? Yeah, I do not stand for any of these dudes abusing their power. Women are the majority, and it's about time we occupy the same amount of space and power as all these scumbags. I, Kalyn Rose, do not stand for criminalizing people for being alive, for being houseless or born somewhere else, for being a young person of color or playing music on the 16th Street Mall. I mean, unless you're part of the 2% of real Native Americans here first, we're all here illegally, and so is this Capitol, and so is this government. So vote for me, because I won't stand for any of this shit. Yeah, well, it was a hard sell for me to put my name in the race, like, officially, because I knew the amount of work it would take, and I just knew it was gonna be a lot. And holy shit, it was. But I did agree to making the video, putting it out on April Fool's Day. Yeah, I was really inspired by some performance friends in Albuquerque who do performance art, and yeah, I love the idea of, like, is she serious? Is she not? Like, is this happening? And I thought I could just, like, weigh on it for a while, and, like, if I really wanted to get in the race, I could, but, like, if not, it still was a fun video to make and, like, a prank to pull.
Yeah,
And leave people guessing, but I found out after publishing it that I only had 7 days. Like, I only had a week to officially declare. I knew, like, I wasn't gonna be, I knew the platform, like, couldn't go much further if like, I couldn't do the debates, you know? Like, if I wasn't on the ballot, like, I probably wouldn't have gone that hard.
you were on the ballot, though, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. So, like, that was the thing. We were on tour and heading back from Albuquerque, and it was really, like, the guys' idea in the band. It was, like, this long-running joke, and then it was, like, you gotta run, and it was, like, I'm never gonna run. And they're like, that's the slogan, you know, that's it. And after the sit-in, like, I did have a lot more people saying, like, will you run for city council? Will you run for mayor? And that was always the easy answer. It was like, I'm never going to run for anything. But
So in other words, you didn't run for city council in the next one out of fear you might get elected?
yeah, I don't think I'm built for that kind of job. I'm definitely not built for that kind of theater either. Really putting ourselves, like, in there so intimately, like, really reaffirmed all of my beliefs that the government is operating exactly the way it was built to, and that's to keep people like us out. And it sucks, you know? It's like this really gross pocket of event. Like, none of the events have food or music or colors on the walls or colors on your clothes. I mean, it's like really a sterile, inaccessible environment that is designed to be soul sucking. So
Well, you could bring some of that in if you ever tried it again. The rest of the video some of your security detail lifts you partway up all those steps, and then there's a cardboard box with your Kalyn for Mayor logo on it, and you gave a campaign speech, a short one with dubbed in throngs cheering for you and stuff. But as much as the thing might have been a prank or a joke, the other side of doing stuff like this, and I ran for mayor too once, as you probably know, and when I was asked whether my campaign was a joke on the TV show, I said, well, it's no more or less a joke than the other candidates, including Mayor Dianne Feinstein.
One candidate who took his campaign to the streets today in a way that only he can. Jello Biafra, the lead singer in the punk rock group The Dead Kennedys, he held a news conference at City Hall. He then went on to do what he calls shaking babies and kissing hands. He also went on a whistle.
Not yet. That we can't create, not with all the money the Defense Department can buy. At any rate, what we should do is erect statues of Dan White at convenient locations throughout the city and let the Parks Department sell eggs, rocks, and tomatoes to throw at them. Jello! 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 I'm Jello Biafra. I'm running for mayor.
Punkster Jello Biafra is this year's least likely mayoral candidate.
Hello, I'm Jello Biafra. I'm running for mayor. The way she goes. There goes the bag lady vote.
Today he was in the midst of the last-minute push to his low-rent campaign, working the Market Street sidewalks just like the real politicos.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
His fiancée on his arm and wearing his campaign wardrobe, a $7 suit from a Geary Street pawn shop, plus shoes a friend gave him for formal occasions. They're serviceable but a bit large, Biafra says. The candidate, who won't tell his born name, would be a joke, except he's too smart.
My views are my own. You know, I don't have 20 years worth of special interests slowly buying me off. Oh, I'm going for me. I'm one of the for re-election, rollback rents, legalized squatting in vacant buildings.
Candidate,
well, thank you.
Good luck. Good luck.
You.
His literature says Jello Biafra is no more a joke than anyone else running this year. Now, there may not be many who'd agree with that, but Jello Biafra would settle for at least stopping to think about it for a while.
Jello Biafra wants all the police elected by the communities in the communities they serve. Also wants to put more cable cars into service and to get rid of as many cars as possible. And I also believe there was one other plank in his platform of having all businessmen in the downtown area wear clown suits. I just find it a little hard to take you as a serious candidate, but some of the platforms that are put forward do seem a bit unusual.
Well, I think if you look around, you'll find that my candidacy is no more of a joke and no less of a joke than anyone else running.
But the point I'm making is the points you made, your campaign platform, it was radical in the eyes of corporate government, but everything you were saying was making perfect sense. You know, Bernie Sanders level sense. And very articulate and not rambling on like I often do and just making your points. What were some of the main points in your platform?
Yeah, I mean, that was the weird thing is like, I have this sense of humor. Like, obviously, there was a prank involved. I had a mustache drawn on my face every single time I appeared as the mayor. I wore a mayor costume, but like my platform and like my talking points were actually answers. They were actually solutions. Like, I do take this shit seriously already.
Right.
And I am involved in like so many different like groups and crews around town that are really like doing a lot of radical stuff like now. Yeah, I really did like have a platform which was mostly around access, and access to not just like physical barriers like stairs, but that was easy.
You were moving way beyond that though in terms of affordable housing rights and not attacking homeless people and
access to food, access to housing, access to water, access to education, access to politics. Like, one of the big things our campaign was doing was making these silly videos of like, I can't do this, I'm just a rapper. And everybody else around me is like, sure you can, it only takes this document being notarized. Like, sure you can, it only takes 300 signatures to get on the ballot. Sure you can, you're already doing all of this stuff. So as we were like making these art videos of like art imitating life, we were actually spreading the DIY ethos of like, hey, this is actually doable. Like, if you want to do it, like, here's what you have to do. And it's me like, I can't do that. Oh, I only have to do this. Check. I only have to do this. Oh, it doesn't cost money to get on the ballot. Cool. Like, we were just like using this as a platform to kind of break down that barrier alone, right? Like, the way everything's worded and like so official, like the common folk don't even think that you can do it. And I think it's designed to make you feel like you can't do it, you know?
Of course it is.
Yeah, it was cool. The platform, was robust, and instead of like regular mailers and shit, we made zines, and instead of paying for politician signs, we took the We Buy Ugly House signs, the gentrifiers, the colonizer signs all over town, and then repurposed them. We had like a lot of kids parties of like making Kalyn for mayor signs, or make signs whatever like they wanted. There was also like a really big bill on that ballot, to which there's been many iterations of it, which is to undo the urban camping ban here in Denver, a modern day ugly law to criminalize homeless folks. So we were really, really pushing for that, almost more than the mayor seat, because it meant so much. So I was like the only candidate that really like stuck my neck out that hard for Initiative 300. And I had to do all these debates, which felt like battle raps to me, like I was battling Mayor Hancock and like next to each other. And yeah, I think I did pretty fucking good. Like, to be honest, a lot of them I left feeling like, yeah, I won that, like I actually answered questions, as opposed to everybody else who's just like skating around the question. And I took it seriously, and because it is serious, and it's a fucking joke. It's like a farce. We really went for it. We threw a bunch of really cute parties. We fed a lot of people. We built a lot of ramps. Like, the idea was that, like, hey, if we could get some campaign money, like some of these other candidates, I just imagine what we could do with that money now, right? Instead of like, once I win, I can do this. It's like, shit, with the amount of money that people get for their campaigns, you could do things like in real time. Like, you don't have to wait to win to use that money for like cool shit. We didn't ask for money very well. So like, of the other candidates, it's not like we brought in a lot, but shit, I think we got, 10 grand or something, like 10 grand, fed a lot of people, hosted a lot of parties.
Yeah. Well, plus you got to bring those ideas into these debates that the other people didn't want to talk about, but undoubtedly connect with voters who did want it talked about. I mean, I think that was the original reason Bernie Sanders ran the first time, was not because he expected to win, but just to get the debate out there instead of hooray for Hillary and leave it at that, that there needed to be real issues, real discussions. And then my take on it was he had no idea he was going to do as well as he did, and then just kept going from there.
Yeah, his first campaign, my friend did the math, my writer friend from the Village Voice and Spin and stuff. She did the math and was like, I think she basically made it out to be like, I got more votes than Bernie on his first campaign, because Bernie only ran against like 3 people or 2 people. I ran against like 6, and I did 0 canvassing. I did 0 calling. I did 0 asking for money.
And how, were you come in 3rd, 4th, 5th? How'd you do?
No, I was like, so Hancock was first. He went into a runoff with this developer chick. Hancock, I mean, he probably spent over $5 million on the first round. And we did the math. He was paying like $40 to $50 a vote, basically. So we were like second to last. I was second to last or something.
But how many other candidates were there in total?
There were
second to last may not be such a bad thing.
Yeah, there were 6 of us. So, yeah, it was huge, you know, like, I can't imagine like what it would have been if we were like phone banking and canvassing and, you know, like running more volunteer opportunities. Like we were figuring it out as we go, and we were like publishing what we were figuring out in a very like DIY kind of punk ethos videos, like drunk history vibe. Me and my mayor mustache. Yeah, it was a trip.
Yeah, I do like the mustache.
And we did. I did protest like some of the debates. Some of the debates like charged money, so like I hung out outside and like made a bunch of noise. We had a noise action at the end at the Denver Performing Arts Center because they put a lot of money to kill the homeless. This bill was just only asking for homeless folks to have human rights. It was that basic. And the Denver Performing Arts Center.
Has that ever passed?
Not since the urban camping ban 12 years ago. Yeah, it did really bad. But all these people were putting all this money into fighting it. So we did a noise action at the Denver Center of the Performing Arts where we had like hundreds of people come and make noise, whether it be on instruments, whether it be on like noisemakers, shouting. It was dope.
Do you smoke for strictly for pleasure, or is it also medicinal?
It's mostly for pleasure, but
which is also
I have been dabbling into the edible world a little more for pain if I need it.
Do you feel a lot of pain all the time, or comes and goes?
I've been really lucky most of my life to not have pain in between being broken, which isn't as regular as it used to be as a kid. So, but now that I'm getting older, now I'm 36, I am starting to deal with like weather pain and achy pain and starting to break bones, like doing less traumatic things, you know, just like I don't even know, like stress fractures, which is new for me. So yeah, it's a new world. But I've been really lucky most of my life to not have a lot of pain associated with my broken bones, except when they're broken, which does suck and hurts.
Yeah, because you do feel it, and it doesn't feel too good.
No, but I have a pretty high
the
pain tolerance. Higher drug tolerance.
And let's talk about music itself. When we first met that night at the Wax Track store, and you told me about what you did to Senator Corey Gardner's office, which never stops cracking me up, and I think it was before you ran for mayor, though, and you gave me a CD of Wheelchair Sportscamp's titled "No Big Deal." And I thought, okay, I'll listen to this when the time comes. And I assumed it was a punk band. I just, just for some reason, activism, somebody wanting to meet me, this must mean it's a punk band. Then I put it on, and luckily I didn't wipe out in my mom's car or whatever while driving. Like, what is this? What it is? It's just like, it's like an electronic Captain Beefheart in its own weird way. And you probably don't know who he is, but a lot of listeners will. But it doesn't really sound like that either. It was just, it was abstract. It was different. I didn't immediately peg it as hip hop either, although I eventually this is kind of like a very, very, very weird version of hip hop. More power to them. Later on, so I became a little more familiar, your ace videographer and our mutual good friend Chris Bagley, who is also responsible for Wesley Willis's Joyride, by far the best documentary film about Wesley Willis, and he's grown as a videographer and everything else, and now he's working with you, and up went this video of a song called Yes, I'm a Mess. And even the still picture of you, and then and then the song itself is like, oh my God, this is still damn near unclassifiable. It's really, really great. And those two things, unclassifiable and really, really great, meant, should I finally ask and see if you want to put any vinyl or anything out on Alternative Tentacles? And you did. And on the other side of the 7-inch, you offered one newer track, and I said, no, this is introducing Wheelchair Sportscamp to probably a lot of new people, and mostly people who did not hear the CD that came out years ago that Sage Francis put out, the hip-hop artist and stuff. So on the other side was one of the early anthems to get people clued in. It's Hard Out There Being a Gimp, and that is round one before the hoped for album. And here we are.
Here we are. It was an easy yes, because we always want to put out vinyl, and I love vinyl, and it's not an easy thing to put out. So thank you for putting it out and putting it into the world. And yeah, I'm glad you got to see the video, and that's Chris Bagley and I's third video together now. So that guy has a lot of footage of me.
He's going to get all the video of this of both of us too. So we'll see he's making a documentary about you, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been following me around with the camera for a long time.
Well, he did a great job on the one where he followed Wesley around for a long time and even met members of his family and many, many other things. So, when we met to have a meeting, Mark Bleasner was there again, and Chris was there too, I think, at this center where your recording studio you work out of is. And at the time, it seemed like you were so dialed in on making the video singles and dropping one after the other over time, and then not even putting out hard copy audio at all. It didn't strike me as where you really were interested in vinyl very much, but we'll do this. Why not? So sounds like either you got more interested or you were more interested than I thought you were.
We didn't have vinyl. Sage Francis and Strange Famous Records did put out like a very small run 7-inch. And
vinyl junkie record collector me wants one.
Yeah, and we've always wanted to put No Big Deal out on vinyl, but the packaging of No Big Deal, which you have, is a pop-up house. So in order to make the package for a 12-inch to pop out, it's going to take a big flex, and I don't know if I'm willing to let go of the art concept. So yeah,
I think the only compromise I can think of is normally I really get annoyed if somebody puts out a vinyl 12-inch and then throws a CD booklet in and calls the insert art complete. That just drives me nuts. But in this case, except This one, it is a pop-up thing. You have to assemble it, and it's 3D. It's like, like some of those pop-up Christmas cards, only it involves a little more work on the person who's brought it home. So the CD version of that thrown into a 12-inch LP would probably be kosher in a case like that. So people got the pop-up house. Where did the name come from?
No Big Deal? Or the band name?
Wheelchair Sports Camp.
Wheelchair Sports Camp. It came from, not surprisingly, a wheelchair sports camp. There is a local wheelchair sports camp here in Colorado. It's called the Colorado Junior Wheelchair Sports Camp. I attended it as a kid, and it's actually really dope. It's free. They bus in kids from all across the city. It's so many wheelchairs just taking over high school for a week during the summer. They provide food. They do a trophy ceremony. It's like, well, it's super cool. But, I was too cool for it, but I still went every year and brought my friends, and we would like ditch and go do bad things, and we we like, the only sport we really played was like tennis, but we never really followed our group. I did volunteer as a teenager once I could drive, and yeah, I still try to go every year and get my shirt, and I get a Google alert now for the name Wheelchair Sports Camp. I get all kinds of informational news about different wheelchair sports camps all across the world. However, this one here in Colorado, I think, is the only one that I've seen full week long that's free. Free food, free shirt, free transportation. So big ups to Wheelchair Sports Camp here in Colorado. I did tell them, and I don't know if I quite asked for permission to use the name, but we're cool. They're cool with it, and we've thrown some benefit shows for them. And
Oh, there you go. Ask about the funding and hoping it wasn't from Coors or the Koch brothers.
No, although shit, if they need to get the money from wherever they can to make it free, then so be it. But that's a good question. I never have been involved in the funding, but it was started by a group of adaptive PE teachers in Denver Public Schools, or probably Aurora Public Schools, actually.
And with Wheelchair Sports Camp, I noticed some of your bio stuff identifies you as queercore as well. Or, as queer activist as well. Do you find any kind of a label like that limiting at all?
No, queer is cool because it's so big. It's a big umbrella. I mean, I'm cool with just gay too. Like, to me, gay is like the whole umbrella of queerness, but for other people, gay is like strictly with the same gender. So yeah, I'm queer, I'm gay, I'm that. And is it limiting? Yeah, it can't be. No, for me, it's definitely more liberating than being straight.
More liberating than ghettoizing. And people, it's a queercore band, I don't need to listen to that. Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah, I've never. Yeah. No, it's liberating. I would hate to be straight. Yeah, straight. No offense, but being straight is more limiting for me.
For me too. If I was born bisexual, there might have been a lot less lonely nights years ago, but I just was not made that way. I'm sorry.
Me too. It's okay.
But how do you identify? You say queer and gay. Do you identify female or something else?
I like all the pronouns: she, her, they, them, he, him. I mean, I rock a mustache. I've always dressed very tomboyish, but I still identify with lots of my femininity, and yeah, I'm pretty open. identify as open.
Being so late to the party, and it's just amazing how many of these different underground scenes and even hip hop versus punk or versus rock or versus other kinds of hip hop and things, how many people just miss finding out about cool things. I mean, Matt Kelly, my longtime engineer from Tumor Circus up through White People and the Damage Done, Jello Biafra and the Guantanamo School of Medicine and all. He's mainly a hip-hop engineer and a name hip-hop engineer who started out Second Engineering Digital Underground around the same time he and I were working on Tumor Circus at Hyde Street Studios. That led to a little bit of work with Tupac and then a lot of other people hitting him up over the years, from The Coup to Hieroglyphics to what are the other ones in that one? How could Souls of Mischief, of course, and many others. So he identifies that way too, and he's way dialed into local underground hip hop and some in Atlanta where he moved to, but he's about to move back. But anyway, and he would complain to me from time to time about, it really frustrates me how there's so little creative experimentation in hip hop now. It's kind of bugging me and I'm getting a little bored. I send him Wheelchair Sportscamp and he flipped. He got it right away. I was like, I want to produce them. I want to work on something with them. These people are great. And he totally got it from a hip hop point of view. But if your partner's moving to Denver to be with you instead of the other way around, well, you said it can always be done remotely by mail, though. So you and Matt may one day cross paths, and who knows, he may bring in his own people.
We'll still be in the Bay often.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I'd be happy to go out there. And yeah, that just, it does make me think about how, some of the labels, especially around hip hop, because it's such a male dominated, style of music, but recording engineering is even more of a boys' club. Producing, just a producer, is even more. That being said, I think being a femme, being a queer, being disabled, even, just being who I am, I think one thing that I was really turned off by was those boxes of checking identities. And it's I always wanted to be a good rapper. I didn't just want to be a good female rapper. I didn't want to just be a good disabled rapper. I didn't want to be just a good gay rapper, and yet so I've kind of shrugged away at the beginning of, putting my music out there. I didn't really want to be confined to those boxes and did feel limited. And the more that I identified with myself and accepted my identities, because those are such a big part of my identities, it wasn't fair for me to be I don't want to just be a good disabled rapper, but I'm clearly in a wheelchair. I got Wheelchair in the band name. I'm making puns and punchlines about being in a wheelchair. It's part of me feeling limited by all that was also a lot of internalized ableism and internalized masculinity, right? I just wanted to be compared to all these good dude rappers that I came up with. And not just them. I mean, I did come up on a lot of women fronted, heavy, identifying, empowering feminists, from TLC to Salt and Pepper and Missy Elliott. Those three shaped me, and I don't think I would have been so into rap if it wasn't fronted by them.
I mean, because your own sound is so unique, there is another revival going on in punk or indie or whatever underground of people making electronic punk and rock records, and often very lo-fi, and making them at home. not all of them. It's become kind of its own scene in some ways. There's not a huge number of them. They probably all know each other. But even though you wouldn't be classified as punk, I am guessing some of those people and some of that audience are going to dial in on the Yes, I'm a Mess 7-inch.
Cool.
I think they're gonna get into it too.
I wasn't really like in the punk world, but I think like my approach to making music has always been pretty punk and like lo-fi and DIY. Like, yeah, I couldn't afford to pay dudes to make beats for me. Like, I wouldn't have been able to like pay dudes to play the guitar for me, you know? So I had to do it myself and taught myself and started like, you know, becoming more closer with dope musicians and learned how to like record it and capture it and sample things. And yeah, so I, you know, this microphone that I'm on is like the only microphone I've ever had. Like every record has been recorded on it up till a certain time where like we were recording in a studio. So I hope it translates still to that, because that's definitely where I come from.
Well, your studio where you do indeed, you write your stuff, you record your stuff, you produce your stuff, and probably at least mix your stuff or have help here and there with all of it. But this studio, isn't that the one that we got together and hung out in while we were talking about putting the record out? And your actual home in, I believe, public housing is right across the street. Tell us about this facility, because it's part of a larger facility that's really cool.
Yeah, I teach for a nonprofit organization in town called Youth on Record. Youth on Record was started by a band here in town called the Flowbots. Rock guys, and they started an organization. Youth on Record was the music production class. When I got out of college for recording, I started like booking some of their shows. So I was doing more like talent by like booking and hosting, and I was pretty eager to like go and volunteer in the class. I wasn't working at the time, so I had time. And yeah, I've been teaching with them ever since. And over the years, like we acquired this dope place here in West Denver, and it was like a big partnership with Denver Housing Authority and a bunch of other different funders to have a recording studio. Scored and got an apartment close by, so yeah, I have access to a much better studio than my backpack studio now. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and the older I get, for sure, and like the more hopefully professional team I can put together, like it is ideal to have other people do things for me now and not just do it all myself. I think there is a certain point where that can be a little limiting. You know, it's like I can't be an expert in all these things, and I've learned to do them because I needed to, you know, and certain things, like, yeah, I'm better at than some people, but for the most part, like, it, you know, mastering engineers are like masters of that art, you know,
Right.
and mixing engineers are masters of that art. And yeah, it's nice to not do every single thing myself. And though, like, I wouldn't trade it. And when other weird things happen and other projects come up, like, depending on the budget, I know how to do all these things. So, like, for the mayor thing, you know, we didn't need a budget to make like campaign videos and commercials and stuff,
Right.
like logo, and I do quite a bit of graphic arts because of the band, and made the websites and made the videos.
Right. What else can people come study and learn at Youth on Record? It's not just recording studio stuff, is it?
No, so we teach a bunch of 4-credit classes in high schools across the town.
Wow.
Typically like credit recovery programs, or like, yeah, I taught in a treatment center for a long time. So kids were court ordered to live there. They're basically incarcerated. So that was a music production class. I've mostly only taught music production, but I'm transitioning out of teaching into doing a more like professional development mentorship for students that are just graduating. So they're no longer public school students. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I've been teaching at Youth on Record for like a decade now, and we haven't always had that studio, but now that we do, it's been great. We've been there for maybe 6 years now, something like that, and it's really just been so like awesome to have access to that and share it with youth, and yeah, like it's also a good place to meet weirdos like you late at night while I'm trying to cut some vocals before. I was actually cutting vocals the night that we hung out there for our Meow Wolf room. Inside of Meow Wolf, there's a song in there, and it's a 10-minute song. So I had to cut my vocals that night.
Oh, was that after we hung out or before?
That was after. That's why I was like, okay, everybody has to go now because I have to finish this.
Oh. Because the other thing, we were told, oh, it's too late. The neighbors get upset if there's too much noise down there.
Oh yeah.
We're just talking.
So maybe I did already record it. I just had to like mix it all. Because you're right, yeah. I did have, but you could usually track like vocals solo. You know, like as long as I'm not playing like the drums super late or like guitars. Yeah, it can't be a rehearsal space that late.
And you've been rocking Wheelchair Sportscamp as longer than you've been teaching. Like, is this year 11 or is it longer than that?
What year is it? 2023?
2023. Yeah, hard to believe.
I mean, it could probably date back to like 2009, maybe. I feel like we started getting a little more like, yeah, our first trip out of Denver was 2011 to South by Southwest. So that was two years before that we started it. It wasn't always a band.
Right. So you've toured a lot actually, and what kind of venues book you? Is it regular music venues, or is there also disabled community stuff and activist organizations that bring you into different places?
Touring for the most part, I just was like booking anywhere that would take us. If I was booking it for ourselves, you know, it's always more ideal to catch on somebody else's door and be support.
Right.
So we did that a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. And then there has been a time, I mean, I was pretty like used to playing in accessible venues, to be honest. Like the DIY venue that Greg, my drummer, started was very inaccessible. And because I'm so tiny, yeah, I usually like bring my manual chair. Like I was pretty used to doing like everything inaccessibly and being kind of the only one. And then it wasn't until we started touring that I realized like how many disabled people were listening and like how much support we did have. 'Cause yeah, before leaving Denver, I didn't really know. I was like having like a guilty conscience that like I wanted to make sure that it was like clearly listed somewhere that like if I was playing in an inaccessible venue, like I needed people to know so that like they didn't show up and know, you know, like, and
Or make the venue get everybody in somehow.
yeah, so I did start like being a little bit more thoughtful about just like how I publish things and making sure like to include that information. But going on their first tour, we actually supported the Flowbots on a really big nationwide tour, and we played San Francisco, Cafe de Nord, which I did not know was inaccessible, and I did not book, and I didn't think it would really be anything, but shit, all kinds of people were like emailing me, MySpace me. No, I don't think MySpace was still there, but they were pissed that I was playing this inaccessible venue. And that was the first time that I like encountered that, and we did like a free show on the sidewalk in front of the venue before sound check, or maybe after sound check, before the show. So yeah, like I don't know, I kind of like roll this weird line where because of the privilege I have to like be carried and like be okay with being carried a lot of times, I think it's like more of a statement for me to like play and talk shit about it on stage, you know, which I do and have always. But I don't know, the older I get, and like, you know, I got a boo in a chair, and I got more friends in the disability community, like it does weigh on me more. And there have been times where like the disability community has like booked a show for us in Portland, actually, like couldn't get a date, and like somebody reached out and was like, let us help you. And it was packed with people with disabilities. Like it was so dope. I think doing the sit-in and like the crossover between my activism with like the disability world, and like even just making this Meow Wolf room that's so like disability heavy. I think there are a decent amount of disabled people listening to Wheelchair Sports Camp.
Well, we brought it up twice now, so let's detour to the Meow Wolf complex in Denver, and not everybody tuning in is going to know what Meow Wolf is at all.
Okay, yeah, Meow Wolf is a complex. It's a big art facility started by some DIY guys and gals in Santa Fe, New Mexico. They were able to acquire a pretty big space, and they made this like immersive attraction that also has a venue that we've played at, and they built their third location in Denver, Colorado. So it's like humongous, and they hired a lot of local artists to build like or design permanent installations within this giant complex. Yeah, we pitched like a wheelchair space kitchen. So there's a big ass wheelchair space kitchen in Meow Wolf, Denver. Me and Greg and my dad, an iron worker, and
Yeah, remember that
it's
iron
kind of like
construction
this
worker.
wheelchair time portal. Basically like a DIY space from the old 70s and 80s activists left behind and built and retrofitted for themselves. And it's like this scrappy spot that weirdos like us are still occupying, and definitely like got a future disability future vibe. It's wild. It was
What
a
I
big
saw
flex.
what I saw from the construction video was you were building both a retrofitted kitchen for somebody of your height and your disability to be able to do take care of themselves in the kitchen and feed themselves and all that good stuff. But also some rather large things, I think like sinks and other stuff, way, way high. So anybody who stands up, who's my height. I think I'm, what am I, 5'8" or a little bit more than that, and reaches up. They can't reach it at all. It's big. It's way up there, as a statement on what a so-called normal kitchen would be like to try and cope with if you're in a wheelchair. That's part of it too, right?
Yeah. Originally, we wanted to make it just like this tiny little kitchen where like somebody like you would just be so uncomfortable in and like barely be able to crouch under. That wasn't accessible. So we couldn't build that. So we ended up getting like 15 feet ceilings, which is like almost 3 times the amount of space we were hoping for. So we kind of flipped the script, and one of the OG Meow Wolf guys had an idea. But yeah, we're like, maybe we distort some things up top, and yeah, my kitchen right now, which I'm very close to, all the top cabinets are empty, or like storage for my friends. Like they're completely out of reach and of zero use to me. So yeah, the kitchen we built, like the bottom half is more like roll under counters and curved out for a wheelchair. The sink handles are backwards, so they're closer to the front of the counter. Like I can't reach too far to the back of the counter, and then everything up top is like out of a normal person's reach. So, and then there's like other little Easter eggs hidden within the room for other types of disabilities. Like you can feel the song if you open a certain drawer, if you roll under a certain counter, like, which you kind of have to be in a wheelchair. Like the disco ball kicks on. There's a low sensory fridge for people that are stimulated by sensory, because Meow Wolf is very high sensory, even for people that aren't super sensitive to it. It's 5 floors of a lot of art and a lot of lights and a lot of sound. So there's a space in our room that's like chill and calming. There's some hidden braille messages throughout. Yeah, the idea is that like you can't really access the full spectrum of the room unless you have each other, unless you have different types of people, different sizes, different disabilities, different ways of life, because that's how we're gonna like keep the planet alive. That's how we survive the apocalypse, is like relying on each other. I roll the alleys a lot. I've found a lot of art stuff in the alleyways, and it was pretty important for us to find stuff instead of put more waste out. We're Wheelchair Sportscamp, and we are designing a wheelchair space kitchen time portal here at Meow Wolf, Denver.
This is our first venture into installation art at this level. We've done little things before, and obviously throwing shows because we're a band.
We've been touring together since 2012, 2013. The world wasn't necessarily built for me, but through relationships and interdependence, like, we still find ways to navigate. We also are always trying to play with that with our music. Mary had a little band, Mary had a little band, I preach a lot of shows, and everywhere that Mary went, everywhere that Mary went, the band was sure to go. This is the mock-up of our wheelchair space kitchen. It's a scrappy DIY warehouse feel of a kitchen. And to get around a kitchen in a wheelchair is quite interesting. So we're kind of playing with a lot of perspectives of being little or in a wheelchair. And then everything up top will be pretty much out of reach. We also wanted to make it the most inclusive that we can.
There's things in there that blind folks will be able to really enjoy and parts that deaf people will really enjoy.
But music is definitely our centerpiece of it all, and someone can walk into this room and experience our music, and they can interact with our music.
This one's roll under. That one's cool.
Oh, that one's roll under?
This is roll under, yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
So this,
Is this one roll under too?
Yeah. This one, can you tell we're musicians trying to figure out how to build things?
Let me snap a line.
My dad's a union iron worker, so my dad has been the biggest piece of our team to really make this come to life, and I never thought I'd be on a construction site with my dad.
Makes me appreciate getting out on the weekend and spending one day with her.
Us being able to kind of work together on this has been pretty cute.
All right. Think you can squeeze through this beast?
Maybe?
I think you can.
Yeah. Denver has a real rich history for activism and resistance. The disability movement was real heavy here in the 70s, 80s, and we really wanted to pay homage to them, and we're kind of building it to look like it was built back in the 70s using repurposed stuff. So we got low countertops that are roll under, that are great for wheelchair users. And then everything up top is out of his reach.
Yeah, so this would be what Kalyn feels like when she's in her kitchen trying to put her plates in the cabinets. Can't do it.
We've been dreaming about this room for many, many years now. That's good. Yeah. Almost everything that I do is kind of thanks to the old activists in town, and we've been carrying the torch because it's still a constant fight. I think that just showing up in big and bold ways is activism in itself. We gotta crypt the future, as we say, because if we don't do it, who will, you know? Knick-knack, paddywhack, pick apart a pole, barely rally rap, on and on and on. Nearly selling seashells for Sally Sack, como corazon, silly willy, hillbilly, really, no Philly, no tallywhaps. Give it dog and alley cat, Peter Piper, pick the pack of freedom fighters.
No, I mean, when you've toured, you've been to Canada, you've been to Mexico, South by Southwest, of course, where you encountered our old buddy Nardwar, and got yourself to England. And you told me you've even taken yourself to Haiti.
Yeah. Been around the world. Hope to go.
Tell us about
places.
going to Haiti, starting with what you go through trying to get on and off a plane, and how accommodating or not accommodating airports and airlines can be.
Oh, yeah, traveling's a bitch in a wheelchair, especially a power wheelchair. So it wasn't until recently that I started traveling in a power wheelchair or traveling alone. Before I would mostly have strong-bodied people with me, and a manual chair and more assistance. Again, I'm only 60 pounds, so I'm not I'm fairly feasible to get around inaccessible things. But yeah, the older I get, the more it bothers me. And if I'm traveling alone in my power chair, which I have been doing often to the Bay, and even New York, and anyway, they take your wheelchair, your $30,000 wheelchair, custom fitted wheelchair, and they throw it under the plane with all the bags. Yeah, this chair weighs 360 pounds without me in it, so it's a monster. They take your chair away from you. You get strapped to this little aisle chair, and then they get you to your seat, and then you don't go to the bathroom until you land because you can't get on the toilet. And then you pray to any god you believe in that your wheelchair makes it on the plane unscathed, and
Yeah,
The
unscathed.
the airlines destroy wheelchairs every day. It's like such a common problem for people with disabilities, and not just wheelchairs, but like canes, walkers, any kind of mobility aids, like you name it, they trash them, and you're left fucked when it's usually a long wait time to get anything repaired because everything's so custom and monopolized. Like it's really a pain in the ass, and it has killed people. United Airlines killed a woman a couple of years ago by destroying her chair, and yeah, it's a really shitty reality for us.
How
And
did that wind up killing her?
well, because they destroyed her chair. She had a pretty like special seating system. So a lot of people that like sit in wheelchairs for so long throughout the day like have to have a custom seat so that you don't get like pressure sores. And you have to have like a way to tilt your body. Because all of our bodies are different. Our seats are like very customized to us. So her chair was destroyed. They put her in a loaner chair. Loaner chairs are like shitty and violent and not your chair. Like it takes so long to get used to a chair. And then she like developed all these like medical problems from not having her chair, her means of life, and she passed away.
Somehow, you and your chair, whichever one were you using, got all the way to Haiti unscathed and made it home, and you obviously got around in that country. What brought you to Haiti in the first place?
I did not bring my power chair to Haiti, that's for sure, and I would not ever bring my power chair to Haiti unless I was being hosted by other people in power wheelchairs.
Right.
I went to Haiti. I had been collaborating with the rappers from Haiti since the earthquake, the big earthquake. A guy from another band in town had gone down to do some like relief efforts, volunteering, and he came back with like all this recordings of dope rappers rapping in Creole, and I'm pretty snobby about rap, and it was like so good. I didn't even like need it to be translated. Like the flow was dope. Creole is just like a rapper language. It's like hard. It's got like a dope rhythm cadence to it. So I started like sending them beats, and every time he would go back to Haiti, he'd set up like a DIY studio in the camp, like the displaced camp for all these Haitians that didn't have anywhere to live after the earthquake. And then I started working with Youth on Record, that teaching organization, and the founder. We wanted to pilot basically what we were doing here at Youth on Record in Haiti with our rapper friends, teaching music production classes. Yeah, we went down there with all this music gear. We had a budget to pay Haitian musicians and rappers to teach classes for like 6 months. And I brought my wheelchair, and then I brought a spare wheelchair that I painted for the first music video that Chris Bagley did with us. And I left that there. Like, we just brought a bunch of gear and left it, and hired musicians to teach classes for 6 months.
Hopefully it didn't all get stolen and people who rapped didn't say something that offended somebody else with power and guns and take them out. I mean, or maybe I'm been reading too much stuff about Haiti that makes it appear more dangerous than it actually is.
Yeah, it's a lot of the music we were getting. I mean, like, yeah, it's like real. it's rough in Haiti for sure. But there were like, we have this one rap that's like a cholera public service announcement from like when the UN brought a bunch of cholera right after the earthquake, and like, yeah, because Haitian Creole is like such a hard language, like it's, and because they're very black, like it's easy to assume that like their rap music is like violent, and that's definitely not the case. Like there's, as with any kind of rap music, there's rap music of all kinds. There's like the empowerment, there's the fuck the system, there's the gangster rap, there's the revolution rap. I mean, Haiti is the most revolutionary place in the world. I mean, they've overthrown every colonizer that's ever touched their island. And yeah, like everybody there is all about freedom over everything, like freedom over money, freedom over politics, freedom. Like it's a really, really, well, magic place. And yeah, they're the first.
How long were you there?
Almost 5 weeks. They're the first independent black republic in the world.
Right.
They overthrew the French, the Spanish, the Brits, and the Americans. Yeah, the music, the rap music is a reflection of all of that. It's a wild place. It's definitely the Wild West. There's very little wheelchair access to everybody I did meet that was in a wheelchair, like, doesn't go very far. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like, just being a white person is like you don't belong, or like it's, you stick out like a sore thumb. But then being like a tiny white girl in a wheelchair, like, yeah, it was a trip going anywhere for me. Like, I had to hire like some homies to like be my bodyguards and like get me through, because it was a lot.
Didn't you tell me at one point that there were people occasionally freaking out at the sight of you on the street, not just because you were white or small, but just assumed you were some kind of demon?
Yeah, I mean,
or something from Satan? Didn't you tell me that or not?
Probably, yeah. Like, you know, Haiti's like a real magic place, and disability is seen a lot like as a curse. So there's like a lot of that ideology around disability, and like there was a lot of like gawking and like crowding around, because, you know, it was just, yeah, people don't see that. You know, I mean, it's not even really represented in the media much here in the States or like other places, but like especially in Haiti, like you do not see anyone like me. So it was like a real spectacle. It was a real spectacle for me to go anywhere.
Back across the water in disability activist issues, and some of the people who do it. Do you know who Mike Irvin is? Do you know him? He writes a column in the progressive magazine called Smartass Cripple, and also blogs at Smartass Cripple. And he is very, very full on and very, very educational every single month. And one of his columns that really kind of rattled me was how there are still, you know, hospital corporations, medical corporations, Republic thugs who don't want to pay for Medicaid or anything, who are still trying to ram disabled people into nursing homes and throw away the key. And I get the impression Mike Irvin may be a little bit more disabled, need more help taking care of himself than you do. It seems like, I think he has to be help with his clothes and eating and bathing and things like that. All the things that some of the more cruel elements who run countries. I mean, Hitler just wanted everybody killed, but I think if you're behind closed doors, you've got budget hawks like Paul Ryan or some of the modern ones. They're probably not much different. But the whole idea that we should after all the Americans with Disability Act and accessibility, just put people back in nursing homes so that nursing home monies can profit off of them with government aid and they don't get to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, eugenics is a real thing, and people with disabilities have for a long time been seen better off dead than alive, or if we can't kill them all, then out of sight, out of mind, right? Institutionalize, incarcerate. It still goes back to that, like, better off dead. It's not as like I mean, it sounds draconian in certain ways, and then, like, you know, with this COVID shit, it's like eugenics is like, it's not behind closed doors. It's like, you know, millions and millions of people have died and are going to continue to die of COVID. And the only reason, like, it's okay to the government is because majority of the people that are dying are already disabled and are already seen as, like, unfit or unproductive, unable to contribute to the economy the same way that, you know, more fit people are. And yeah, like the nursing home, like, people have fought so goddamn hard to be able to live in their homes and live in their communities, like in this public health pandemic that is just completely disposing disabled bodies by the millions. And, like, a lot of people aren't even batting an eye about it, you know? It's like, it's whoa, you know? And that's, you know,
Well,
COVID runs rampant in institutional settings and nursing homes, and it also is, like, out here everywhere. So people with disability is like, it's really a fucking fight to stay alive.
where are you with a sector of hardline anti-abortion people who claim that a major reason to ban that reproductive right and that choice is because allowing abortions discriminates against the disabled, because some people get abortions if they find out their child is going to be born severely disabled?
Yeah, there's always been, like, you know, there's a lot of people that continue to fight really hard to keep disabled babies and kids alive, because once again, they're seen better off dead than not. And yet, like, ultimately, I'm pro-choice, of course. Like, you can't raise a disabled kid in this environment easily, you know? And I would be sad if people abort their kids because they're disabled, and also I am not sad that people are aborting kids because we can't take care of all the ones that are living right now. So
And a lot of the hardline anti-abortion people, they care about their own the unborn, but once they're born, fuck them.
exactly.
No
And, you know,
aid, no Medicaid. You know the type.
yeah, and
The
people
Corey
would
Gardner.
again, people would rather just dispose disabled bodies than actually fix the problems. So, like, assisted suicide is usually just an easier method of, like, undoing disabled people that need fucking health care. It's easier for a judge to say you should die than it is for a judge to say you should have access to housing and health care. You know, like, it's just like, it's easier to dispose disabled bodies than it is to make more access, which is, like, fucked up.
Well,
That's
some
modern
people
day.
some people who choose to end their lives, a major factor in it is that they are, they're dying of a degenerative disease and they are in excruciating pain 24/7.
Yeah, like once again, I'm pro-choice, but I'm just saying, like, historically, those laws, disabled people have had an easier time being able to kill themselves than they have getting housing and healthcare.
And on top of that, being paid properly if they get a job. Another one of Mike Irvin's huge complaints, and boy, I agree with them here, is it's still legal in most states to pay a disabled person less than minimum wage because they're disabled. It's part of the Fair Labor Standards Act, ironic name, from 1938, 14C, certificates saying, okay, this person's disabled, we don't have to pay them as much. And his quote was about 70,000 people in this country are subject to being paid sub-minimum wage because they are disabled.
It's also not even legal for disabled people to get married. Like, everybody thought that with this, like, equal marriage shit, that, like, everybody could be married now. But, like, disabled people to this day cannot get married if they're relying on benefits. They will lose their benefits. Like, I would lose my benefits overnight if I claimed that I was married.
But you and your boo have gotten married, but not through the legal system, just unofficially. Didn't you tell me you were doing different marriages in different places to celebrate your union?
We are unlawfully wedded, and we hope to have many weddings and continue to.
Yeah, I mean, I can legally marry people. I can legally marry people, whether you tell the authorities or not. I'll do a wedding.
Cool. Well, we could have a punk wedding, too. Yeah, we'll probably do, like, a wedding tour. I don't know.
Well, we are running out of time here, so I want to thank you for being here, as well as you put it, when one of your interviews after nailing Corey Gardner's office, I think this is off of Democracy Now!, is you see yourself and your art and your activism as carrying the torch of other pioneers, rule breakers, crusaders, dating back even in Denver to the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s, the Chicanos and Adapt and many others. And as you put it, you're carrying the torch. And boy, you definitely are. So here's to more arson for both of us. Bye for now.
Thanks for having me. Hey.
Rise and shine, you made it. A blanket weighs a ton. What a time to be alive. Make it look like fun. Will you ever find purpose to this and hate or mate with those on the surface? First thoughts in the morning, last thoughts of the night. Felt I fought every fight, lost myself in your love. Now I'm lost in importance. Tossed to the right, you drove me crazy across the country with the munchies. Wasted all my wishes on you. Every shooting star I see's got me wondering, is this meant to be or was it true? Yes, I'm a mess. Yes, I'm in debt. Yes, I'm upset, but I got out of bed, so it can't be that bad, can it? It can't be that bad. Yes, I'm a mess. Yes, I'm depressed. Yes, I'm in debt, but I got out of bed, so it can't be that bad, can it? It can't be that bad. Oh, what a privilege to turn off the tube and tune out the war, 'cause it's so hard on you. Oh, what a privilege. I know it's a new year